By the right of the Council, by the will of the Force. Welcome back to another episode of the Galaxy Famous 401 episodes approved Jedi Talk Podcast. You are following us at Jedi Talk Podcast on Instagram, youtube.com/Jedi Talk, and you saw our ugly fucking faces last week on our 400th episode, which we were live on that YouTube channel. I can't thank you all for joining us enough, but I am Matamika here on the High Council of Jedi Talk. Joining me, as always, are just two-thirds of the council is here, and I'll get to that in a second. But joining me officially, all the way across the stinky cheese pond that is Chicago, Illinois, is Kyle. Kyle, how the fuck are you on this evening of Jedi Talk?
I'm doing good. Last week was a lot of fun, so I'm happy to be here again.
Abso-fucking-lutely. So let's just get into it real quick. So Brad's not here. No, this is the first Jedi Talk of Kyle's era, of the new Jedi Talk era, where it's just Kyle and I. Brad has some family stuff. I'm not going to say what. I'm not going to speak to that. You know, it was last minute. He was 1,000% going to be with us. He's going to be here tonight. He had to run out, do some family stuff, so we will catch back with Brad when he comes back. Best wishes to him and his family.
Absolutely.
But no, we'll keep it real. You know, we're going to talk to C4. C4 wasn't able to join traditionally on the live 400th show. You know, that shit logistically, man. You know, and we said it last week, but we were not kidding when we were saying, like, up into the moment, like that pre-show. When the pre-show was running for the 400th show. We were going back and forth with Kyle, like trying to figure out how for him to hear us. And like we had him on a Zoom call, but then there was echo. And then Brad and I were going to like split his Bluetooth headphones and listen to each other. And then us two idiots were finally just like, let's just three-way call with Kyle. You know, it's just we're just so fucking stupid here. And look, you know, we don't get paid for this. You know, Kyle's not getting a check for this. I'm not getting a check. We do it for the love of the motherfucking game. And it was just funny to think back on it. And, you know, Kyle said he had a lot of fun with the 400th, and so did I, man. You know, that was a cool moment in Jedi Talk history. And I truthfully, I give you a lot of shit, Kyle, but I'm glad you were there for it. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And, I feel like it's just become our shtick now that we have technical problems, and that's just a part of the show now. So.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, outside of your audio being out for like the first couple of minutes, just because you don't know how the mute button works, it was almost flawless. The video was up, and then we had to take it down for several hours because I had to edit out the Black Sabbath and Ozzy in the pre-show, because once it posted, YouTube did not like that at all. We didn't get a copyright strike, but they said, you're not keeping this video up. And all it was a tribute to Ozzy, our pre-show, where people were chilling, hanging out in the waiting room, jamming to Black Sabbath and Ozzy. It was a tribute to the Prince of Darkness. You know, we said it on the show, and we were showing old clips and old pictures of us from former shows. I knew YouTube wouldn't like it, but I didn't know they'd be that angry about it. But thankfully, the full video without the pre-show's up there. If you want to see it, hit us up. Let me know. But Kyle, if I could talk about the 400th real quick, I'm not going to say officially yet, but I just want to let the people know who might be truly interested in this. When we were doing our 400th episode last week, live on YouTube, the comments were brought up, I think, just like, well, first off, I said, Kyle's coming out here for Mando and Grogu next year, and we're going to see it together. And Mary may have said this in the chat, or was it Aaron or Joe that said this? Somebody said, I think it was Mary, I'm leading Mary, that said we should just do like a Jedi Talk night for Mando and Grogu, and we're like, oh yeah, let's do it, and that kind of evolved right into like a theater rental and like getting Jedi Talk listeners. And 100% transparent about this, and Kyle will tell you, I was talking to him before it, I am this close to signing a contract on renting one out for the premiere night of Mandalorian and Grogu. So if you were serious about that, I'm telling you to be more serious about it. So more info coming very, very, very soon. But Kyle, before we just jump into it, we have a jam-packed show for 401 between you and I. SG Elleroff, and God, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. Kyle, you're the better one with that shit. Does that look right?
Your guess would be as good as mine on that one. So sounds right.
So we're going to talk to him. He's got a book coming out called Jung and Star Wars. Kyle knows a little bit more about that than I do, I believe. But we're going to talk to him. Liam Neeson says some stuff today, or not today, but recently in an interview. He said something about Qui-Gon Jinn's death that we're going to play and react to. And there's a new villain in the Starfighter movie. A New Hope is getting a theater re-release for its 50th anniversary in 2 years. So maybe we should do another Jedi Talk watch through theater rental for that. But the first news I think we'll start off with tonight, Kyle. And let's just get into it, right? I don't know. I don't want to know about your week. The people don't want to hear us banter back and forth anymore. They want us to hear us talk Star Wars. And the hot news off the presses, man. Gina Carano has beaten Disney. What do you think?
Wild.
What do you think?
It's wild. And, honestly, I feel like the past, I don't even know how many years now, but I just feel like every year there's so much animosity or there's some controversy with Disney. I feel like I want people to like Disney again. And people really like Gina Carano's character. People... I'm sure there was probably a select group that were offended by things that she had said, but I mean, honestly, like a lot of people in Hollywood say a lot of things all the time and they don't get reprimanded. So, I don't know. I feel like this is a step in the right direction. I feel like my hope is that Gina Carano and Disney walk away where it's like a respectable thing, where she can even come back to The Mandalorian is Cara Dune. I think that would be really cool. Maybe even, I'm sure she's probably not going to show up in the Mando Grogu movie, but...
Yeah, I doubt it. I think it's too late, but man, that'd be sick.
In any case, I feel like Star Wars females get a lot of hate, and we had one that people liked, and then, she got fired. So... so maybe we should get her own spin-off, a video game. I mean, I know we're not getting Outlaws 2, which is just blatant bullshit, but I'm a huge gamer. I'd love me a Star Wars game, especially if it was a Gina Carano Star Wars game, a Cara Dune Star Wars game. So I think this sounds great from what I've heard so far.
How fun would it be just to be walking around like Navarro as Cara Dune and just punching stormtroopers? Like, you don't get a blaster, you just got to punch them, and she's just like that'd be so much fun, just wailing in and on their trooper helmets as Cara Dune.
Hell yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Hell yeah.
Sounds like fun.
There was somebody that did that at Galaxy's Edge before in the past.
Oh, I do recall that. Well, back when our old co-host Evan T. Boucher was a character attendant, and he said that here on show before. He's a former character attendant, but I think he was working as an attendant the day that happened, that somebody punched Gary in the face. Now, you hear me give Gary a bunch of shit on this podcast, but you'll never hear me advocate for hitting a fucking performer. You idiots. God, I forgot about that until you brought that up. How stupid could people be? Good Lord.
Did they just forget that they're people in costume and they're not really stormtroopers?
You know what? They probably forgot about that. They're probably from Alabama and they're a flat earther. They've probably lost a couple of brain cells to sniffing paint as a child, Kyle. It's like, I don't know how these people get the money to travel to Disney World. I don't know how they're smart enough.
I just booked a Disney trip, and honestly, it sucks paying that huge fee, but I'm also I'm glad, because then you don't get the Six Flags crowd, it's just, you would think
but they're still there.
There's no higher level of a higher end vacation than there is a Disney vacation, and especially even planning it. Somebody described it perfectly. It's like planning a mini wedding, and it's absolutely true. So you think that much goes into it, and you're just going to haul off and punch a stormtrooper. I mean, like, I get the incentive, but it's not really it's not really Star Wars. I mean, it's very immersive, but it's like they're not real.
Get the incentive of punching another man in the face.
Well, an actual stormtrooper, yeah, maybe. First Order, Empire. Real. Well, I'm just saying it's like, I'm just saying there's a disconnect with these people. They don't get it. Like, if it was really real, if we were really in the world of Star Wars, which would be great, and maybe that big asteroid or the thing that's out in the universe that people keep talking about, maybe that's
31 Atlas.
Yeah, maybe that's our first introduction into real life Star Wars, which we can all hope that's true. But it's not here yet.
Well, this is you're getting Jedi Talk charm, ladies and gentlemen, when we go off the beaten path a little bit. But for those of you that don't know what 31 Atlas is, I'm going to let C4T3 explain it to us. So let me pull him back in here. Hey, C4T3, Jedi Talk here. Our 401st episode is live. Could you inform our listeners, please, what that 31 Atlas asteroid or unknown interstellar object is that's out there in space?
Oh, sure. Let me just put on my all-knowing space oracle hat and explain the big mysterious space rock. Look, it's probably just another interstellar chunk of galactic junk floating around like it's lost on its way to a Hutt family reunion. But hey, if it makes the 401st episode sound more exciting, sure, I'll tell the listeners there's some big ominous rock out there. Maybe it's the Constellation's secret base, or maybe it's just a giant piece of space lint. Either way, there you go. Tune in, you nosy listeners.
Wait. You know about the Constellation, C4?
Oh, Criff, yeah, I know about the Constellation. I mean, who doesn't? It's the galaxy's worst-kept secret, like Carl's mum being the hottest mum in the universe. Everyone knows it, nobody admits it, and here we are. The Constellation runs everything behind the scenes, or at least in my finely tuned conspiratorial circuits. So yeah, let's just say I'm onto them. And if you thought I was just a sassy podcast droid, well, guess again. We're all in the Spice Den now.
Okay.
Holy shit.
I have a reaction. First of all, R2D douche, you're not a real person. You don't have any feelings or a soul, much like Ginger. So, shut up. Your new name is R2D douche.
Hey, C4, Kyle says he really loves you and wants you to keep it up. So, go on.
Call him R2D douche. That's his name now.
Oh, sure, Carl says he loves me. That's as believable as Tom saying the moon is real, or Brad admitting he doesn't write Love Island fan fiction. Look, I'll keep it up, but not because Carl loves me. More like because it's my eternal droid mission to sprinkle a little sarcasm and remind you all who really caused the Halcyon incident. So yeah, Kyle, just sit back and enjoy the DAS. I'll keep roasting you all, whether you like it or not.
Kyle now is referring to you as R2D douche.
Oh, how positively creative. R2D douche. Real original, Kyle. I guess when you spend all your time believing IGN and rubbing oil on Ki-Adi-Mundi's head, you run out of good insults. But hey, if I'm R2D douche, that just makes Kyle the Jar Jar of the podcast, tripping over his own feet for everyone's amusement. So thanks for the new nickname. I'll wear it like a badge of sarcastic honor.
He called you the Jar Jar.
Okay, he got me. I'll admit, I probably am the Jar Jar of the podcast.
Oh my God, you got called the Jar Jar of Jedi Talk. Oh, Brad's gonna be upset he missed that one. We'll get back to C4. My God, I love C4T3, and that's right. The moon isn't real. It's some weird shit about the fucking moon. I mean, it's up there, yeah. The Earth is round and space is real, and I believe in all that, but there's something fucking weird about that thing. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I feel like they've been teasing aliens for years now. Just fucking tell us already. Jesus, it's like we know already. Somebody knows.
Oh, they exist. It's. I have zero evidence of it, but it's just like a feeling. Like, oh yeah, probably. Like, yeah. Something. Actually, what I think is real is something that not a single person can comprehend. Like our minds What I'm trying to advocate for, Kyle, is to take as many mushrooms as we possibly can to just open our minds. So if anyone would like to send them, P.O. Box Jedi Talk at Star Wars, Florida. So that's a joke.
I mean,
don't send drugs.
I mean, you live in Florida, so it probably isn't hard to find that anyway.
No, I'm not looking for meth. I'm looking for the legal shit. The shit that they're using on veterans to cure PTSD and stuff. The stuff that they don't want you taking.
You know what? That's a huge movement right now in the world of mental health. Psychedelics is pretty huge, and it's actually remarkable. I met somebody who does it, and the stuff that they talk about is wow. It's wild. I mean, it's really cool, and it's hopeful. But I feel like with any of these treatments that come out, it's always like you have to deal with Big Pharma. Big Pharma is literally the empire. It is literally the First Order. It is literally the Empire when it comes to these things. So,
marijuana was dealing with that for the longest time. So, I get it. So back to just Gina Carano. Yeah, she won in a sense. They didn't disclose what was awarded, what was settled, but Lucasfilm put an official statement out that stated that they are, looking forward to opportunities to work with her in the future. So. Do you think Cara Dune is coming back to Star Wars? Do you expect Cara Dune to show up in The Mandalorian Season 4? Or do you expect Cara Dune to show up in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Do you expect Cara Dune to show up at all ever again in Star Wars? Is Gina Carano done? Let us know in the comments down below in this YouTube or Instagram post, wherever I decide to put this clip. But I, for one being the father of a daughter, who wants to see strong, somebody who doesn't need anybody's help, female characters that Star Wars does a very good job of making. Leia, Cara Dune, Fennec Shand, they showed us how to give us that quote unquote female empowerment scene, and then meanwhile the Avengers Endgame one was in the corner like womp womp. It was so in your face, but Star Wars did it so naturally, right? Like I want to see more characters like that. And we had one in Cara Dune, and she just disappeared. She said some shit, and people should be held responsible for what they say. But then again, Disney was trying to control what all of their people said. So hopefully they learned a lesson. They hired James Gunn back, and he said something way worse. So. I want Cara Dune back. Is that your official take too, as well?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Like bring her back.
I agree. We absolutely should bring her back. So before we cut in to our SG interview about Jung and Star Wars, which I'm really excited to chat about, Kyle, Starfighter is a Star Wars movie that's going to be here, but before we know it, in the next couple of years, starring Ryan Gosling. And Sean Levy is at the helm of this flick. And we reportedly have another villain. Matt Smith is supposedly now playing the main villain of Starfighter. And he's not the rumor is he's not a force wielder. So he's not an evil force wielder, but he's more of like an old military general of sorts. So I'm very happy that the villain is not a force wielder. I want non-force wield, like if the protagonist is going to be like a Jedi, somebody who's good with the Force. I miss the this is what made the High Republic so good, is that the Nile, Marchion Ro isn't a Force user, so it made that shit interesting. That's what makes the Mandalorians, defeating the Jedi with Beskar and creating the Darksaber. It makes that shit interesting. So, man, what do you think? I know you're a Game of Thrones guy, right? So you know who Matt Smith is.
Yeah. I think it's great that Star Wars is branching out, and I think they've done it better than, say, like Harry Potter, and some of the other big IPs that are out there. I mean, they have a lot. I think Star Wars has done better with it than some of the other IPs. Just because, like, this started where it was really surrounded by lightsabers and, the Force and the Empire and the rebellion or the Resistance, and So I like that, they're keeping it alive, keeping it in that universe, but kind of like going a different route. We're not always going to get an Emperor Palpatine. And that's what keeps it interesting. I think after 40, 50 some odd years, it's a good decision. Yeah.
I guess
50,
we're on year 48 right now. Yeah. It'll be 50. I mean, Lucasfilm. Yeah. It's 50. A New Hope will be turning 50. So Star Wars will be 50 years old in a sense in 2027. That's why we're getting it we're getting A New Hope re-release in theaters. So yeah, I'm with you. Give us non-force wielding, villains, up against new heroes, new threats, new heroes. Disney has a chance to reinvent Star Wars, but that's a territory people don't want to tiptoe around, because when they tried to do it with the sequels, people don't like it. They rage against it, and rightfully so in a sense. Some of it is god-awful slop, and there's parts of it that are great. And that's like that's all Star Wars, but I'm excited for it, and I always hold out hope, Star Wars movies are coming back, and these are events, so I'm really excited about that.
I think they're coming back. I mean, the movies we haven't seen a Star Wars movie in some time. I mean, I feel like the Episode 9 was the last movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the TV shows have really been a hot button issue for a lot of fans. And you got to wonder, like, are they able to bring it back with such animosity in the fan base? And even look at Marvel. Marvel just released Fantastic Four and then Thunderbolts earlier this year, and it's just not performing as well as they had hoped. I was actually looking at Box Office Mojo this week, and surprisingly, Lilo and Stitch, a movie we've already seen before, made $1 billion. But Superman and Thunderbolts and probably Fantastic Four won't come close. Maybe Superman. I think Superman might get up there, but
they said Superman. I thought I saw something the other day that Superman's going to end up in the high 600s.
Yeah, and it's just it's interesting,
which is shy of Man of Steel. Just want to put that out there. I love both, but I'm just saying.
It's funny because, like, it is really saying something. You got rid of Henry Cavill and gave us this new guy, which, I like the cast, but everybody was pissed about it. And then they're like, well, we're going to put out our new movie. And it didn't it didn't do as well, so.
But it's like, was this Superman movie ever going to make $1 billion though? It's the first movie in like a reboot. And I think the fact that it's made over it's going to projecting to make over 600 million worldwide is pretty good. I mean, I'm no economist, I'm no like historian on this shit, but fuck.
Though, movies are like really expensive now. I was just thinking about it because I went to see Fantastic Four this weekend, and it was like for two people, it was almost $50. And it's just, I remember when I was in college, Iron Man came out, and there was like a movie theater across the street from my college, and I kid you not, it was like $5.
Kyle, you went to school in Podunk, Indiana. Like, of course, it was $5 to see a movie.
Even still, I mean, it's just hugely different. So.
Yeah. I mean, inflation, shit's expensive when you're squeezing the middle America out of life. I was trying to look at tickets to go to SmackDown. WWE SmackDown's coming to Orlando in end of September, and I want to sit sort of close, but not at those fucking prices. It's just like, God damn it, dude. Fuck that noise.
Let me say something about Fantastic Four and Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal. This is the third movie, and this really isn't spoiling much, but this is the third movie, or, I guess, and TV show, where he plays a father figure that has to protect some child. Because he did it in Mando and or The Mandalorian, The Last of Us, and now it is Fantastic Four. It's like this same role, and I don't hate the guy. Like, I like Pedro Pascal. He's good. He's a good actor, but like, I don't know. I'm just like kind of getting the fatigue. Like, there's so many actors. There's so many people you could have put in that role, and I just kind of like hate where there's like, oh well, Tom Holland is a really great actor and he's hot. Let's put him in Uncharted. He's like the hot actor right now. Let's put him in Uncharted when he doesn't really have anything to do with Nathan Drake. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just hate how Hollywood operates in some ways. You look at like some of the greatest movies in the past, like Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire or Batman with Christian Bale, people you didn't know anything about, and it did phenomenally, and they just like won't do that anymore. Like it just seems like they come out with a new Star Wars movie or like any superhero movie, it's got to be like somebody that that's really popular and that's going to like make money.
I don't know who Daisy Ridley was with The Force Awakens. I'd say that put her on the map.
I mean, she hasn't really done anything outside of that I've seen. I feel like I don't even know where she's
to that
been.
extent. She's done like a bunch of smaller stuff. Like one of them made it to Disney Plus. I don't know.
I could kind of get that because like Force Awakens, like her life probably really blew up after she did Force Awakens, and
rumor has it she's kind of shitty to work with.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, she hasn't done anything huge after Star Wars. She has not done like a Star Wars level movie since then. Like why? All of those movies made a fuck ton of money. Yes, they're Star Wars, but they still made a shit ton of money.
Actually, The Force Awakens is still the highest domestic grossing movie of all time. If I'm not.
Oh, let's ask C4. That's what he's here for. What do we want to know? The highest grossing movie of all time?
It's domestic grossing movie for like you
okay.
For you here.
Okay. C4T3. C4T3 Jedi Talk is back here. We are curious, and if you could please do the honors of finding us domestically, and as a reminder, we live in the United States. What's the highest grossing domestic movie of all time?
Well, look at you dragging me into actual trivia duty. Fine, I'll play along. Turns out, if we're talking about the top domestic earner right now, it's Inside Out 2, holding in a ridiculous pile of credits. Over 650 million smackers. So yeah, that's your big winner. And Carl can keep calling me R2D douche if it makes him feel better. I'll just be over here, the all-knowing sassy droid, giving you your box office facts.
That's right.
All right, yes,
That's
he is
right,
continuing
monkey.
to call you that because he's an idiot.
That's right, monkey. Dance.
But what I want to particularly know, C4, is all time, since the beginning of time, what's the highest grossing domestic film in the United States?
Oh, for Criff's sake, you want the all-time champion of the US box office? Fine. Let's put on our fancy history hats.
It's not gonna be
Adjusting for
Star Wars.
inflation and all that nerf
It's Gone with the Wind.
Still Gone with the Wind. Yeah, that ancient horror film from 1939 that just refuses to be dethroned. So congratulations, you're asking me to dig up relics older than Yoda's walking stick. But there you have it. Now Carl can go look that up on IGN and pretend he knew it all along.
That's like all he has. It's like you downloaded Brad's conscious into C4 R2D douche over here. Because Brad's only comment is like, "Oh, Kyle's small, and look at his voice. He's like, really, and then the other thing is like, oh, well, Kyle got that from IGN. Kyle loves IGN. Shut the fuck up, Brad.
Brad lives through C4T3 tonight. Hey, Hardin Huntington, are you watching this? Can you sponsor Jedi Talk, please? I got a new tattoo from Hardin Huntington. I'm wearing their merch right now. They don't pay us.
I thought we were sponsored by
Jedi Talk.
I thought we were sponsored by Rachel's Steakhouse.
We are. That too. That's a deep cut from last year, if you remember that one.
Steaks and legs, people.
Steaks and legs. So overall, are you excited about Matt Smith specifically in Star Wars? I don't want him doing no fucking dances from Morbius. Jesus Christ, that movie's terrible.
Maybe he will defeat his enemies by doing a dance-off, like in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nope. We already did that. We already had that joke. It happened once. Don't ever do it again. In 40 years, 50 years, when like all the Gen Alpha Zers, whatever the fuck they are, like rebooting all this shit because they can't come up with it. And like AI's done everything for them, and they can't come up with anything. They're all fat and, you know, running their kids' Instagram accounts and bullshit. They're going to redo these movies. They're going to do the dance off again. Don't. This is your warning. It's not funny. It may have been funny then. It's not funny now. I mean, right? Like,
you know, like, I don't know. I think Marvel is kind of the ones that killed it when it comes to
agree.
with like, you know, we can't really write a good story, so let's just write jokes every 5 minutes. But actually, we'll say that, like, and I know Brad feels differently, but Fantastic Four, even though it was not the most action-packed film, I thought the story was good. So, like, Marvel for once wrote a good story. I was like, wow, I was like really into it.
All right. Well, there you have it. I mean, I'm gonna wait. Because I do want to hear you and Brad kind of go back and forth about Fantastic Four. I'm not gonna get around to seeing it. So everything I know about the movie is going to be from you two. So when Brad eventually gets back, you two can blowjob each other about Fantastic Four. But
we absolutely will.
Yeah. So right now we're going to segue into a great chat we're about to have with S.G. Elleroff about his upcoming novel book. Just informative information about Jung and Star Wars. So take a listen about what it is, because Kyle and I are finding out at the same time, because just found him on Instagram and we're really interested about what he's going to put out. It's about Star Wars. It's something interesting. Hey, you could probably benefit from it. So take a listen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and thank you specifically to Steve Elleroff joining Kyle and I on Jedi Talk, a Star Wars podcast. Steve, you've got a brand new book coming out, Young in Star Wars. Remind everybody what the official date that's coming out, because we can't wait to talk about it. You sent a DM to her Instagram, and I was like, okay, we need to get Steve on this podcast and talk about this, because first off, Kyle, you know, went to school for this, and he knows what he's talking about. So I'll sit back and shut the hell up, because that's you know what I could serve here. But tell us what Young in Star Wars is all about, because I can't wait to get a copy and sit down and read. What's up?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, and I'm very happy that you answered my distress call. You know, send it out, and it's great to have a chance to talk with you guys about this book. It comes out August 12th, and so that's Tuesday. But yeah, it'll be out finally. It took 10 years to write. And it was, although I think I was sort of working on it longer than that in a way, you know. Yeah, I got interested why Jung, and it's not just Jung, but also the Jungians, people in Jungian psychology who have come after him. And the big question mark was, like, why pair the ideas of Carl Jung with Star Wars? What's the rationale? Why would that make sense? And I'm sure that you're very familiar with Joseph Campbell and the power of myth and the effect that had on George Lucas, and then the friendship that they developed. Well, I got through reading all of Campbell's stuff when I was in my 20s, and then he pointed the way to Jung, because there was an interview where he said, for me, the base is Jung. So then I started reading Jung, and then the psychologists that have come after him in his tradition, and just the parallels are just lining up left and right in terms of what I was reading with Star Wars. And so I had this idea, well, what if we take Star Wars and we know the influence of Campbell is very strong, but what if we leapfrog over Campbell to Jung, and then the people have come since Jung, and see how those ideas line up? And that's the rationale for the book.
Wow. So, you know, Jung was a student of Freud, and then obviously Jung kind of did a kind of a little bit something different. He talked about the collective unconscious and archetypes. Do you go into that, or is it kind of like in a different a different way that you take the book.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, you're right on. Yeah, Jung had this break from Freud. They were, you know, in a way, Freud groomed Jung to be his replacement, and then they had this massive falling out, awful falling out. And after that, the Freudian school of thought really took over, really gained so much traction, and throughout the 20th century, it was Freud, Freud, Freud. Meanwhile, though, Jung is in Switzerland and he's working on his own ideas, the collective unconscious, archetypes, and a bunch of other things, synchronicity, the power of visions. What are those about? And he developed his own school of psychology that he then taught people, and then those people have taught people, and so we've had a couple generations since him who have kept developing the ideas and working with them sort of off, not right front and center like the Freudians. So yeah, I and so many of these ideas are so great to play with. And Joseph Campbell is one of the people who really played with a lot of those ideas too. The Hero with a Thousand Faces takes that archetype of the hero and shows how it plays out across umpteen myths, you know. There's that archetype that is psychologically a part of us, just part of being human, you know.
Yeah, those archetypes are so interesting. Now, I'm not a psychodynamic. I'm not a Jungian kind of therapist. Actually, I feel like I wish I would meet one because I would be curious to see how that plays out in therapy. But from what I've read in the past, like when I read Batman, the Psychology of Batman, the most interesting thing that I found was like the archetype, the shadow, is very one of the biggest motivators, biggest inspirations on who Batman is as a character. And so he uses his darkness, which is a part of all of our collective unconscious. He uses it for good, and that's really sometimes the hardest thing to do. And so, that's why I think this is so interesting to apply it to the world of Star Wars because it's such a huge world, and there's so much you can talk about. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's well, very well said. The yeah, I love how that plays out in Batman. And you see also characters, villains in Batman where they just let that shadow material just run wild and
Absolutely.
they don't temper it with, justice or
Mhm.
even if it's vigilante justice, he's got this justice aspect to him, right?
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, and Star Wars, like you said, is just it is a mythology. It's not just a myth. There are so many stories in Star Wars. It's made up of I mean, they're even in the book I sort of go into, I talk mainly about certain characters. I give them chapters
Yeah.
and we look at those, but then it's bigger than just the main characters. We have these minor characters that pop up and you can analyze those characters, you can even see it playing out in all of the forms of video games. It's not just the movies and the shows, right? uh, there's books, there's fan fiction, there's toys, even when little kids are playing with their action figures, or grown-ups. If you're Dark Helmet and you're playing
Mhm.
with your Spaceballs action figures, secretly, and um, you're enacting some kind of mythic story right there that is not, it's, if you don't record it, it's gone, but it has happened. It's a little mythic act right there. So that kind of came into it. And on that point, Jung had sort of a little, when he was a kid, he made a little figure out of his ruler, at the end of his ruler at school. And he gave him a little top hat and a little outfit and cut the end of the ruler off. And then he called it his mannequin. And it was his little
Hmm.
figurine. And he hid it up in his attic. And for some reason, he didn't tell anybody, but for some reason, he had this sense of control maybe and calm, like he knew where that was and he could go check it out and visit it. And he said that was a big moment for him in his life, just in terms of trying to figure out how to deal with things that were going on with him. And so that's an interesting idea, like Jung's personal action figure that he made, as
Hmm.
a little Swiss kid in school. Uh, get to the early 80s and, these things are mass produced. There's almost a billion of them, floating around the world, and kids are doing what kids do. Um, so yeah, this sort of like personal mythology is really important in these ideas, and Star Wars is great because it offers that very personal experience, but also the collective experience, what we're doing right now, the three of us, talking about it. So,
So what's the so give us the preview, right? Right. I want people running to buy this book, right? Right. I want you to retire on this, right? From Jedi Talk podcast. But give us a little preview on that because you were talking about chapters, right? So I'm the Star Wars guy, right? Right, right. I can you drink Kyle under the table on the lore there, but what's the
I'm
chapter about Luke Skywalker look like?
okay. So thank you for asking. This is great. So the chapter on Luke Skywalker, um, I first started working on it in 2015 in the lead up to Force Awakens
Well, this
coming
should
out.
be interesting.
Yeah, and it was like, so who are we going to meet when this
Yeah.
film screens,
Yeah.
And it got published in a little Jungian journal in San Francisco. Well, I went back and revised it because now we know what happened to him, and we know where he's been, and sort of what happened there. The first part of that chapter looks at him at the end of Return of the Jedi and that climax of redeeming his father, and the flap on his suit opens up, the triangle. There's a gray triangle underneath. So in Jungian uh, in Jungian thinking, the image is very important. And you take an image and you look at it, and that flap opening up like that with the gray triangles through the rest of the film, from the moment it comes undone when Palpatine's like, you know,
Hmm.
and then it stays open through the pyre, and then at the end with the ghosts and all
Hmm.
that. Um, there's a concept Jung had called the transcendent function, and it is this idea that you can have a psychological experience where you're fighting with these two opposing things inside of you. Uh, and instead of the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, something catalyzes, changes, and a third option suddenly comes out. And it's different, it's distinct from the other two. So I analyzed that moment with Luke and look at sort of how that's expressed in this sort of costume thing that
Right.
happened,
Yeah. Okay.
you know?
That's
And
incredible. Yeah. It's
he's
that
sort of
that's the
worried.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, is he going to turn to the dark side? I mean, we know he's not gonna, but he doesn't know that. He's got there's that shot where half of his face is dark and half is in the light, and Vader's hunting for him under the,
Hmm. Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
he lets it loose, right?
Hmm.
And that's his moment of like looking at his hand, his
Hmm.
father's wires and all that. And then he's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Like throws the lightsaber down, I'm not doing it. And Palpatine's just awful to his core. So he's just going to kill him.
Yeah.
And this triangle opens up. It's even interesting that it's a triangle because it offers this sort of 3 points. It's like a third point. It's not necessarily just the light side or the dark side. Luke has somehow integrated those together to get through this experience, and it changes Vader, brings Anakin back.
Hmm.
This is a transformative moment. So that's what I talk about there with the first part of the Luke chapter.
Oh, that's cool. I
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
kind of
Just
fun. Like you
yeah.
encounter these ideas and these, and Jung's writing is really dense. And, I still read them and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to sit with that, and then I'm gonna have to go back and reread it 5 times and
Hmm.
figure out what's going on here. But once something clicks like that and it's applicable to Star Wars, suddenly the idea's got some like legs. It's communicable, right?
Hmm.
Kind of like watching, like, reading your book and going back and watching Star Wars. I can just imagine getting a completely different experience from it. Like you just see it in a deeper sense.
I
I
see it in a
hope so.
deeper sense now, just the past 20 minutes we've been talking to Steve.
No,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so. But I also hope it brings discussion, because I'm just one guy out here. I mean, we are legion, the Star Wars fans. There are so many of us, and so I'm gonna see stuff that you're not gonna see. You're gonna see stuff I don't see,
Hmm.
and that's part of the beauty of this thing too. That's, I think, part of what makes it a living mythology, is that there's so much going on that you can never run out of stuff to talk about together.
It's the honest to God truth, and the Star Wars fandom makes sure they let us know about that with their voice, especially with the sequels. So, what's give us a little bit more idea about your Star Wars backstory, right? Did you grow up with the films? Like, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite character? Give it, let us know what kind of type of Star Wars fan you are.
Oh yeah. Um, well, I mean, I think it really started for me. I was born in 1980, and then like a week before Empire screened,
Okay.
and then so I was 3 when Return of the Jedi came out, and my dad took me.
Oh, awesome!
Wow.
So I
Wow, that's
saw
so
it
cool.
in this. It was my first movie going experience, and I
Epic.
thought Jabba the Hutt was real. I didn't know, I hadn't crossed that divide yet,
Hmm.
you know,
Wow.
and so it made a big impression and just dominated my imagination throughout childhood and even today. There's a straight line through, but that's where it began for sure. And I love Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite, probably because of that experience.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars movies really have that transformative experience. That's why so many people are so attached to the original trilogy, um, and why they revolt so hard against the sequel trilogy with some of the things that have come out. What's your take on the sequel trilogy? Are you yay, or are you it's not my Star Wars?
That's a great question as well. I am like with the first two, I'm a yay, and then the third one, I'm a nay. However, I have to say, um, I mean, one of the things when I was getting my PhD and looking at literature and all that, and went through that training, one of the things that sort of got indelibly tattooed on my soul is that it doesn't matter if I like it or not. Um, does a text present something that is there to be analyzed? Can you analyze it?
Hmm.
And I'm not a fan of The Rise of Skywalker, but there's so much there to analyze, and it's fascinating. It's so interesting what's there. Um, yeah. So, for instance, one of the ways that pops up is in the chapter on on Palpatine. Um, and I mean, that chapter was just depressing to write, I have to say. Like, it was just like he's like nobody loves Palpatine. He doesn't love anybody else. It's all about power and absolute power, unlimited power. And and what came up with him cloning himself and all that sent me back to the early 90s, to the like junior novels of the Jedi Prince
Oh,
novels.
sure. Yeah, legend stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, legend stuff. And
Mhm.
his original son,
Mhm.
um, Triclops. Um, and then there's another guy named Trioculus. I may be mixing that up. And maybe his real son is Trioculus and his fake son is Triclops. But um, what a weird, doofy story from 1991, 92.
Mhm.
But there's so many interesting things there to explore in terms of, okay, where in this mythology has Palpatine had kids before? There, let's look at that. Let's look at what they did with it in the films all these years later. Suddenly, I had plenty of stuff to work with that was interesting, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Disney definitely presented us with enough interesting material to kind of review and look through, especially with Palpatine. Um, what's if there was one thing you wanted the overarching Star Wars community to get from your book, what would that be?
Oh, wow. Well, I think here's what my intention from the start. Um, Star Wars, if we think about Star Wars as a mythology, it passes the sniff test, right?
Hmm.
Like you'd say to somebody, yeah, Star Wars is a mythology. You're not going to get a whole lot of people who say, no, it's not. You know, most people are going to agree, like, yeah, it's a mythology. But I'm interested in qualifying that. Like, can we actually break it down and say how it's mythology and show the ways in which it behaves like one? And so I hope what people would take away with it is the ability to say, yes, Star Wars is a mythology, and here's how. Here's what makes it a mythology, a proper one. Not just some people like I mean, we call it a franchise all the time.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that it is, but that's not all it is. And so that's the economic world talking. But we can also look at it from a psychological perspective and a mythological perspective and parse that out. Really get down and you can get in the weeds with it, and it's fun. You
It is
know,
fun, yeah.
I've listened to. I mean, lore. You know all this lore I don't know, which I think is great.
Yeah.
That's part of again. That's part of what makes it a real legit mythology is that we can have people who absorb that and can you know, pull it right up and it just enriches everything.
So, how did you know when to stop? Because like this is a franchise that's been going on for 50 years. Like, and psychology, like you were saying, you can really just point anywhere in the Star Wars universe and just dive deep into it.
Yeah, that was I didn't know where to stop.
Yeah.
That's the short answer. I had to cut about 250 pages out of it.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Holy
Yeah, so
crap.
there's like cutting room floor stuff, and then
Patreon that shit.
well, then I just started working on an Obi-Wan Kenobi research sort of
Ooh,
tangent
Oh,
recently. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna write another one or something. I don't know.
sequel.
10, yeah, 10 years down the road, we'll see what happens there. But it was tough knowing when to stop um and revision helped a lot, having the publisher say it can only be 110,000 words. That's what you got to work with at the very top. And I was like, okay, because it was 190,000 words. So I cut 80,000 words out. That helped. And it also made it a better book, I hope. Just tightened it up.
I'm sure it did. That sounds
wow.
amazing. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it is the kind of thing it could just go on and on and on and on, and I could never stop.
but it's on topic. It's a task of being something interesting, right? Right. It's something that you could get lost in. Star Wars, you get lost in just in the lore when they just bring young in. It's incredible. Um, I want to throw a wrench into ours, and it's hilarious that I got this message while we're sitting here talking to you, Steve. But a very loyal listener of ours by the name of Betsy sent me a direct message. And she was just kind of because I shared in our story that we were talking to you today. So she was looking at the book Young and Star Wars, and she's wanted to share that when she lived in Switzerland in 1980, that she was in a group that met in Carl Jung's old office. And her teacher, Deborah Henson Conant, was a Young at Heart podcast, or has a Young at Heart podcast every Friday. And as her friend Sarah says, you can't make this shit up. Life is weird. So there you
Oh,
go. There's our Jedi Talk connection. A shout out to Betsy.
There it is.
So
There it is. This is that, and that's very, I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
And it's a very Jungian thing to happen as well. He was interested in synchronicity and things happening that doesn't make sense why they happen, and yet it happened, right?
Hmm.
These little connections, these little glimpses.
Absolutely. I'm going to be diving into it when it comes out. Where can we find Young and Star Wars when it releases? When is it released? Let the people know. How are we going to push you into retirement on this book, Steve?
Thank you. It's out August 12th, 2025. Should be available online, pretty much anywhere. I work at Tsunami Books. I'm a worker owner of an indie bookstore called Tsunami Books.
Hey, all right.
We'll
Yeah,
probably
very
have
cool.
some, so we'd better.
Oh yeah,
So,
let's go to Tsunami Books for that. Yeah, absolutely.
but
I'll be
yeah,
getting mine.
it should be something you can find.
Awesome. Well,
Very
please
cool.
don't be a stranger to Jedi Talk. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
This has
thank
been
you.
awesome for me, somebody who's a noob in Kyle. Different, yeah. This has been awesome. Thank you.
Tom and Kyle, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And may the force be with you.
Oh, always. Take it easy, Steve. Thanks so much.
Take care.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining SG. We appreciate it. And don't be a stranger. You will absolutely be back. Kyle, I don't know if you heard. Liam Neeson's out there promoting the Naked Gun, right? And he's been saying some stuff, and he did an interview, and he spoke about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So I'm going to play the clip here. It's about a 3-minute clip, and then we're gonna discuss. So take a listen. What did Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn, say about The Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace. Moisture farms for the most part. Some indigenous tribes and scavengers. The few spaceports like this one are havens for those that don't wish to be found.
Like us.
And the first time Ewan McGregor and I had to draw our lightsabers, I remember we both made the sound at the exact same time. George said, "Boys, you don't have to do that. We can add that stuff." Oh, okay, sorry. George doesn't like directing, period. He told me that. He'd finish a scene, he'd say, "Natalie, a little bit faster. Liam, a little bit faster there." Editing, sweet. Afterwards, yeah, that's when he starts enjoying the process, but actually directing actors and stuff. He told me he doesn't like it at all.
So was it hard to train for those scenes?
No, it wasn't hard, but we had aluminum swords, so we trained with those. On the day, we had shortened aluminum with green tape on them. Mine was green tape. And then the special effects guys would add the rest of the lightsaber. I had done a few of those types of fights, cowboys in armor, I call them. But it was good. Yeah, it was good working with Ewan. I thought my death was a bit nappy-pappy. I'm supposed to be a master Jedi, My character fell for that. "Oh, I'm going for your face." "No, I'm not. I'm going for your stomach." "Oh, you got me." It's like, oh, please. Hardly a master Jedi. But still, it was great. And all the cameras, I remember, all had wires coming out of them going to guys on laptop computers and stuff. It was very strange. I remember I had a scene with the kid that was going to be Darth Vader, lovely wee actor, and this flying, talk like that, which I'd never seen before. So I'm getting my makeup on that morning, and Morag was my makeup lady, I remember. I said, "Morag, this is quite a big scene. I have quite a bit of dialogue with this thing." And she said, "Liam, you could be a monkey smoking a pipe. No one's going to be looking at you. They're all going to be looking at this thing," which was kind of true,
You actually returned to the role for the Disney series. What drew you back to the character?
Oh, it was just one little scene. Obi-Wan's coming in on a camel and sort of said, "Master, I've been looking for you everywhere," or something like that. And I say, "I've always been here." I kind of like that. I had just one line. It was nice to recreate that. Be with Ewan after, I don't know, 18, 20 years, you know. It was sweet, yeah. There's so many branches of Star Wars now.
He's like the Han Solo of the prequels, in a sense where he just does not give a shit.
He sounds like Brian Mills when he's talking, you know, from Taken.
Sure.
Is that like his normal voice? Like he just talks like he's ready to murder someone, or he's issuing a death threat to someone?
I think so. No, Obi-Wan. Yeah, because he's not that murderous as Qui-Gon, because he's a Master Jedi. He's much more soft-spoken. But the biggest thing out of that, and I'm seeing the headlines, right, is Liam Neeson, the actor of Qui-Gon Jinn, is calling this Master Jedi's death namby-pamby. This death, Qui-Gon's death in Star Wars, quite possibly is one of the most important deaths, if not the most important death in Star Wars history. It, in a sense, creates Darth Vader, right? It was a necessary, canon event to happen for Anakin to be Obi-Wan's Padawan, and Obi-Wan not being experienced enough, Obi-Wan not knowing what to do, Obi-Wan only being a soldier and training Anakin like a soldier, who trains Ahsoka like a soldier. Anakin didn't have the luxury, and he never walked away like Ahsoka did. But this is huge. This is such an important death, and he calls it namby-pamby. And I don't agree that it's. I mean, he's saying it the way it happened. Oh, okay, sure, I get it. You're a Master Jedi. You want to be able to block it, be a little bit more epic. But I think it's overlooking the symbolism of the death itself. And let's not forget, you're fighting a Sith, a Padawan of Palpatine, who we eventually learn is the king of Sith. So it's give a little credit to Darth fucking Maul, can we? What do you think, Kyle?
I was thinking about this, and I can kind of see his perspective a bit, but I also feel like the death really makes sense, and especially when like I was saying last time, when you go back and when you watch everything after that, and then you go back and watch it, that death holds a lot more weight, just because you know what comes after that and all the history that goes into that. First, I also don't know who uses the word namby-pamby. I think we both looked that up, and I don't even remember what it means. But
let's ask C4. Let's ask C4. This should be good. C4T3. C4T3, it's your lovely friends from Jedi Talk again. Of course, it's us. You're out there in the production office. Can you let us know what namby-pamby means?
Oh, of course, my absolutely delightful Jedi Talk overlords, asking me to define namby-pamby like I'm some kind of basic dictionary droid. Well, here you go. Namby-pamby basically means someone or something that's all soft, weak, and overly delicate. Kind of like Tom whenever someone questions if the moon exists. Or Carl if you take away his Gilmore Girls reruns. So there you have it.
Wait, can you expand on Kyle and the Gilmore Girls reruns? What's going on with that?
Bro, you want the full download on Carl's cozy little obsession with Stars Hollow, huh? Well, let me spill the space beans. Carl's basically got a whole ritual. He plops down on the couch, turns on those Gilmore Girls reruns, and before you know it, he's off to dreamland faster than you can say Luke's diner. It's his little comfort hollow program, and let's be honest, it's about as namby-pamby as it gets. But hey, I guess even a guy who believes every IGN article needs his feel-good snooze show. So that's Carl for you, drifting off to the soothing sounds of Lorelei and Rory, and giving us endless material to roast him with.
This son of a bitch is watching me.
Call namby-pamby. He used namby-pamby on you. Holy shit. Oh.
He's really cheesed about the R2D2 comment.
He is. C4 is.
He
really is.
He's bringing up Gilmore Girls. Really, you couldn't do better than that. And then IGN. Yeah, he's like the next iteration of Brad.
You have the same reaction.
He's a Brad bot. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm. Sure he is. The complete opposite of that, by the way. Yeah. So overall, Mr. Liam Neeson. Yeah, I mean, I get what he's trying to say. But the death itself, I think he's just overlooking. I really, to me, it feels like he's just looking too much into the logistics of the death. I mean, it's like, it's an important scene. I mean, you got whacked in the forehead with a double-sided lightsaber, which you can probably see behind me, Kyle, and then stabbed in the stomach by a Sith Lord. I mean, Qui Gon, how many Sith Lords have you fought up until then? Right? They were supposedly gone.
That's a really good point.
I think that's and Liam Neeson's not a Star Wars nerd. Okay, let's be honest about that, right? You know,
he's never played Jedi Fallen Order
that we know of. But little respect to Darth Maul. After it's all said and done, and I know Brad agrees with Liam Neeson here, so we'll have to ask him when he's back. But it's I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't.
Oh.
I wouldn't.
That's like one of the greatest Star Wars scenes in all time. Like it's perfect in my book. I mean, if they made it today, I'm sure it would have been different, but it would have had a lot more to it. But this was the 90s. It was 99, right, when this came out?
1999, indeed, is when the Phantom Menace came out, and it's a classic prequel. But Liam Neeson said those things. It's. I get what he's saying, but in the grand scheme of things, I want him to remember that Qui-Gon's death is such an important canon moment for Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. It should be overlooked how it happened. The fact that it happened to begin with is huge, and he plays such an important part in Star Wars history. And I'm glad he came back. I laughed when he said he was talking about Obi-Wan on the camel. He comes in on a camel. So anyway, you guys have been great. We've been Jedi Talk. Follow us at Jedi Talk Podcast on Instagram, youtube.com/Jedi Talk. Thank you for joining us. And Brad normally takes us home, so I'll take us home tonight. Stay safe, and may the Force be with you, Kyle. And then you say something, and then I say...
Are we still recording?
Of course we're still recording, yes.
Go fuck yourself. There's my sign out.
Fuck you and the goat ass. Rise, Jedi Knight.
All right, I've read through Young and Star Wars: A Contemporary Mythology, and here's your non-spoiler review. This book is basically what happens when a psychology professor binge-watches Star Wars and decides to throw Carl Jung into the Sarlacc pit with it. Except instead of getting digested for 1,000 years, Jung comes out swinging with archetypes, shadow selves, and mythic journeys. Ellerhoff's style is academic, but not so dry that you feel like you're reading C-3PO's operating manual. He makes a convincing case that Star Wars isn't just popcorn space opera, it's modern myth-making, complete with the hero's journey, archetypal figures, and the collective unconscious. You don't need a psychology degree to get it, but it definitely helps if you like thinking about what's going on under the hood of Luke's "I just want to go to Toshke Station" whiny exterior. If you're the kind of person who watches Empire Strikes Back and says, Yoda is basically a green Carl Jung with better PR, you'll eat this up. If you're looking for blaster battles and lightsaber duels, you might find the Jungian deep dive a little chewy. Bottom line, it's smart, nerdy, and makes you feel like you're in a philosophy class taught by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
except he's grading you on your ability to spot your inner Darth Vader.